Welcome to the Accelerated Performance Experiment. Today's guest, Bob Proctor, returns to discuss with Rick Canary the topic, money. So to start off, I've heard a quote recently that money isn't everything, but it ranks right up there with oxygen. I had a meeting with a financial sector agent who was setting us up for some life insurance. And something that he shared with me in regards to money is that it's something that everybody needs to survive, just like oxygen. And I think that understanding leads to a great desire, and it's linking that desire with action that leads to developing means to generate revenue and abundance. And I think everybody in the world would like to know how to develop their conscious mind to adopt a new system to attract money, to bring more money to them. Everybody needs it. And I'm sure that was the idea when you suggested the topic of money for this podcast. And why don't you start off by telling me what your personal belief is in regards to money and what role it plays in our lives?
Are you recording now?
I am.
Well, money plays a very important role in our life, and there's nothing in the civilized world that takes its place. You can barter for things, but money is something, it's completely negotiable worldwide by all civilized society. There's all kinds of people around. There's great corporations have been set up. Financial institutions have been set up to show people how to earn money if they have money, or how to save money. But there's very few places that anyone can go where they can learn how to earn money. If you were asked, where's some place I can go to learn how to earn money, where would you send them? Most people are not able to answer that question. And school doesn't teach us how to earn money. You could graduate with a master's or a doctorate degree in economics and know nothing about earning money. There's all kinds of economists that are broke. I spent many years working around the insurance industry all over the world. And these are people out talking to people about money, and most of the insurance agents are broke. They really don't understand it. The insurance companies don't teach their own agents very much about earning money. So when it comes to money, it's an interesting subject. And I like what Earl Nightingale said. He said, most people think they want more than they really do, and they settle for a whole lot less than they could get. And I think the overriding problem when it comes to money is ignorance. People just do not understand it.
So what you're suggesting is essentially that we're taught a lot about money. We're taught a lot about what it does for you. You can use it to purchase goods and services. We're taught about those goods and services. We're taught skills, whether it's in school or on the job. We're taught different skills that we can use in our life. But we really, and I would agree, we really are not taught how to earn more money. And yet that's everybody's goal at the end of the day, most people at least.
Well, first of all, there's only two purposes for money. You can only use money for two things. One, it's to make you comfortable. And the more comfortable you are, the more creative you can become. And the second one is to extend the service that you render far beyond your own presence. My company today operates in 94 different countries. That costs a lot of money. So we have to earn a lot of money. We earn the money, we put it back in the business, we expand the business. But that's all it's used for. It's to extend what you do or make yourself comfortable. And beyond that, there is no use for it. You can stack it up, you can count it, Money doesn't make you a better person. Money just makes you more of what you already are. If you're not a nice person, you're going to become absolutely unbearable if you have more money. If you are a nice person, you're going to become a nicer person. I was doing a seminar in Las Vegas one time, and I mentioned this, and there was a fellow in the audience. He had played for the Padres for a long time in baseball, and he said, you know, what you said there is so true. He said, when I was in the minors, you know, and just playing and not earning any money, he said there were some guys that weren't really very nice guys, but they were good ball players. And he said when they got up into the big leagues and started to attract the serious money, he said they became absolutely unbearable. So it makes you more of what you are. Money is a magnifier. It just magnifies your personality, really.
Well, that's what happens when somebody has more money. And to quote Oscar Wilde, anyone who lives within their means suffers from a lack of imagination. And I think a lot of people suffer from that lack of imagination because clearly there's a great deal of people in this world who desire a more abundant life. And a lot of that has to do with the money that they're generating. And so in that regard, what are some tips or tools outside of a skill set or a job or anything like that that you could provide to those listeners to change their mindset to earn more money? Because I know you're a great believer in the law of attraction and the power of vibration and how that affects your environment, that you literally, by changing your mindset and adopting it into your subconscious mind, change your vibration and begin to attract those things that you are thinking most of into your life. What's a tip or a tool to change that mindset to an abundance mentality to begin attracting more abundance into your life?
That's a great quote by Oscar Wilde, and I tend to agree with him. I think if people have more money than they need, they're not doing what they should be doing. For a person to, first of all, there's all kinds of people that are earning a lot of money that really do not understand why they're earning a lot of money. They're what you call unconscious competence. I was earning over $1 million a year many years ago, and I had absolutely no idea what I was doing that was so dramatically different. I had gone from 4,000 to 175,000 a year, and then I took it over $1 million. And I really didn't know, and I wasn't satisfied with winning. I wanted to know why. And so I started to study. It took me about 9 years, but I finally be able to get the dots to connect. What a person really requires, I believe, to live a meaningful life is they need to earn a lot of money, but they have to understand the laws that govern the earning of a lot of money. And Emerson wrote a great essay. He wrote a number of great essays, but he wrote one on the law of compensation. And the law of compensation is very clear. It states the amount of money you earn is always in direct ratio to, number one, the need for what you do, number two, your ability to do it, and number three, the difficulty there is in replacing you. So I think where a person wants to start, first of all, if they want to earn a lot of money, they've got to take a look at what they're doing. Is there a great need for what they're doing? Now, I have a man that comes and cuts my lawn and looks after our gardens. He worked in this house when I bought it 30 years ago, and he's still here. Now, he's never going to earn a lot of money because there's just not a lot of call for that. There is some, and he's very good, so I would imagine he does very well. But I mean, he's never going to become a multimillionaire caring for lawns unless he scaled it and got all kinds of people doing it for him. You have to ask yourself, a great salesperson could get on an elevator and with another man or a woman, and they ride up to, let's say, the 4th floor. They both get off the elevator in the same floor. One person has the potential of earning millions, and the other person does not. Now, the one is a neurosurgeon. So you'd think, well, he must have tremendous potential to earn money. Not really. See, not everybody needs neurosurgery. So the need for neurosurgeons isn't as great as the need for great salespeople. Now, the other person on the elevator was a salesperson, and he might have been on that floor for maybe 45 minutes and made a sale and earned commissions that far exceed what the neurosurgeon is going to earn in an operation. And he may get a residual income from making that sale that would go on for a long time. I believe selling is the highest paid profession in the world. Now,
Would you suggest then, to connect with that law of compensation that you're discussing, would you suggest then that it's very important to be self-aware and know what talent or capacity you have to create a product or provide a service that fits into that level of great need and necessity in our society?
well, I don't even think it's necessary for a person to do that. I think they take a look where there's a tremendous need. I have seen people come into, first of all, the industry I'm in. I mean, I work all over the world. I work in Shanghai, in Kosovo, and down in Argentina, all over the world. And everywhere I go, there's a phenomenal need for the service that I render because I'm helping people wake up. I'm helping people become consciously aware of how their mind operates and the laws that govern our growth. So everywhere you go, there's a tremendous need for that. So you have to take a look at the need. Now, I have seen people come into our industry or into our business that really didn't have apparent talent for it, but they really wanted to earn a lot of money. And so they developed the ability to communicate this information very effectively, and therefore they earn a lot of money. But you've got to start with the first law, the need for what you do. There's a tremendous need in some areas and not in others. Now, if you're doing something where there is not a tremendous need, you're not going to earn a lot of money. I don't care how good you become at it. But you've got to pick it where there's a tremendous need. And then the second step there, your ability to do it. That's the key. What's the guy's name that wrote Your Erroneous Zones? Or not Your Erroneous Zones, but The Outliers. He wrote The Tipping Point. Kind of forget his name. Anyway, he said you've got to put in 10,000 hours if you really want to master what you're doing. When I first read that, I thought, I think that guy's right. Now, he's done tremendous research, and if you read the erroneous zones means somebody different. Well, you've got to put in a lot of time, and you master what you're doing. You've got to become very good at what you're doing. Then the third step's taken care of. You're very difficult to replace. Now, in my company, I'm very difficult to replace because I'm very good at what I'm doing. Are there people better? There probably are. But not a lot of people, and I know that. And that is because I've been studying this, and I work every day at improving my ability and improving my ability to manage and build an organization. And so I continually work at improving. And if you continually work at improving, you're going to get better because you have infinite potential. So no one knows just how good you can get. You can become perfect, I suppose, if we really tap into the core of our being. And the answer is there. It's the need for what you do, your ability to do it. You've got to become very good at it, and then you're difficult to replace. Now, when that happens, you can raise your own bar. I mean, your stock goes up. And that's where the trick is of earning money. Now, you go beyond that, you're going to find wealthy people dating right back to the ancient Babylonians have always had multiple sources of income. They don't have one. They have possibly thousands of sources of income. I'll give you an example. I was, in November, I was on a tour that went right around the world. I went into Tel Aviv, and I went from Tel Aviv to Cyprus, from Cyprus to Dubai, from Dubai to Melbourne, Melbourne to Auckland, Auckland to LA, from LA back to Toronto. And everywhere I went, they had pretty good crowds, and people would come when I was leaving, and they'd grab your arm and they say, "Can I just ask you a few questions? If I could just spend an hour with you." And I didn't have time to stop and talk to them. I had to catch a plane because the schedule was laid out and it was tight. But all the way around the world, I kept thinking, there's got to be a way that I can spend an hour with these people. With the means of communication we've got today, I should be able to spend time with them. Well, that kept playing on my mind. And coming from LA to Toronto, I thought of Mark Cuban, the guy that owns the Mavericks down in Texas. He's a billionaire, fairly young guy. And I had heard one time that he earned his money through streaming. Now, I didn't understand streaming, but I got the idea. It's just to stream. And when I got back into Toronto, I phoned our IT guy and I said, Josh, do you know anything about streaming? And he said, yeah. He said, what do you want to know? I said, can I stream? He said, absolutely. And I said, well, what do I have to do? He said, well, I'll fix your computer up for you. And he said, it won't take me long. He said, I'll phone him back when I got it fixed up. So he phoned me back and he said, he can come onto my computer from anywhere. And he said, there's an icon on your computer. Go there and just tap on it. And voila, I could stream. Well, you know, within 48 hours of landing, I had the streaming club sold to 300 and some people in 60 some countries. In 48 hours. Now there's a few thousand involved in it. And I'm not sure how many countries, 70 probably. And every one of them is a source of income. So you can create thousands of sources of income, yet you got to go back to what Wilde said, you got to use your imagination. Go where the knowledge that you have will not take you. You've got to go beyond your present level of knowledge. You've got to get into that, you know, that higher frequency where the bigger ideas exist. So we're raising our level.
Yeah, and you're suggesting that people want more money, and a lot of people are asking themselves and others how they do that. And you relate it to the law of compensation. I'm relating it to imagination. And it sounds really what it's all about is getting outside of your comfort zone where there.
Absolutely. You've got to go where it's uncomfortable. And that's where your imagination will take you. Most people use their imagination against themselves. They start to imagine something bad happen if they go outside of their comfort zone. How about if something good happens? Now, are you going to fail? Yeah, sometimes you will. And will it hurt? Yeah, sometimes it will. But I mean, everybody fails. A rocket fails its way to the moon, for goodness sake. It's off course 90-some% of the time. So that's going to happen. But if you want to earn money, money is reward received for service rendered. You've got to find a way to provide more service. And then you want to find a way to scale it. Multiple sources. See, there's three strategies for earning money, Rick. I call it M1, M2, M3. M1 is where you trade your time for money. Now that has an inherent problem. It's called saturation. You run out of time. Everybody gets the same amount of time. They get all there is. So you trade time for money. Now 96% of the population do that, but they don't earn any money. And they run out of time. I don't care how much you're getting an hour, you run out of time. M2 is an excellent strategy, and this is where the financial geniuses come in. You invest money to earn money. Now, if you get really good advice and you got a little bit of money, you can get it working. And, you know, I have some money working, but I'm not a great player in that area because I don't really understand it, don't want to understand it, not interested in it. Now, M3, I love that strategy. And I stumbled on that back in the 60s, but then it took me years to figure out what I was doing that was so different. This is where you multiply your time through the efforts of others by providing multiple sources of income. So you see, the M3, the MSIs, you multiply your time by setting up multiple sources of income. Little kids should be taught that. Parents should teach their children that. Because if the kids don't learn it, they're going to fall into the same trap as 90-some% of the adults are marching to right now.
And really, that falls on what sounds like the importance of building relationships.
Well, the importance of building a relationships should get top priority. But I've known people that earn a lot of money that are very poor at building relationships. So I guess there's exceptions to everything. But building great relationships is really important. When I first started in this business, I wasn't good at building great relationships because I was very shy and quiet and withdrawn. But I became aware of that, and someone must have taught me because I did become aware of it, and I've got great relationships now with people all over the world. So that is very important, and because you're going to make it through other people, you're going to make it from connections that you make. You know.
And that's what I was getting at with that, is that for that strategy you're suggesting to take effect, to take flight, it's very important that you're building those strong relationships with other people, and outside of your comfort zone. Number one, with your imagination, you get outside of your comfort zone, and those relationships that you build with effective communication and mutual benefit, those are what will generate those MSIs.
Yeah, it's through relationships like that generally. Like if I wasn't doing what I'm doing, um, I would probably be in network marketing. I think network marketing is the greatest idea that ever come down the pike. Now I remember when it started. I think Amway was the company that there was another company where the founders of Amway were really involved in some nutrition company in California or something. But Amway really brought it to the surface. And I remember a guy trying to explain that to me in around, I don't know, late 50s, early 60s. And I didn't know what the heck he was talking about. But as I start to understand it, I wrote an article for Marketing Magazine. I said I thought it was the most moral form of compensation there is, because you can easily set up multiple sources of income. Now it's like any business. It takes you a while to really get it going, and you've got to put a lot of effort in before you get the reward back. But it's an excellent way to set up multiple sources of income. I know a lot of people that have earned millions of dollars at it. And if I wasn't doing what I'm doing, and as busy as I am at what I'm doing, that's something I would do. It's something I would recommend people do. Yeah.
When I mentioned that I'd be doing this recording with you, Bob, a friend of mine had suggested that a few ideas to discuss with you that he wanted to hear your feedback on, and one of them, it seems like it's key to everything that you're discussing here today: the difference between money and value.
Oh yeah, well, we have a woman in our company, Mikey, and she was talking about this couple that we both knew, and she said they're the poorest people I know. All they have is money. You know, I think you've got to you've got to have values, and I think studying education, you've got to place very high value on. I see education as being sacred. I mean, it's something that I've been involved in now for many, many years. I'll show you something interesting. You'll get a kick out of this. Just a minute. I was doing this with my grandkids yesterday, and your dad will get a charge out of this when he sees it. I want to watch this for a moment. I'm going to show you how I started to learn this information. I'm going to show you how I changed my paradigm, really, because it was through the repetition of this information. It was in a little handheld record.
Yep.
Recording me.
I love that record player.
Hello, this is Earl Nightingale. In this recording, the magic word is the first of 12 you'll receive in this series titled How You Can Lead the Field in the Modern World. Before we start, I'd like you to know that I'm not going to try to tell you how to live your life. That's none of my business, nor is it anybody else's business. That's your business. Nor is this Lead the Field program a collection of pleasantries, platitudes, or Pollyanna. It is a summation of more than 20 years of research on one subject, and that is, why do some people do so well in life, while so many more do not? And the first thing let's talk about is the magic word. The experts call it the most important word as far as the results we get from life are concerned in this or any other language. And that word is attitude. It is our attitude toward life, which would...
Kind of cool, isn't it?
It's very cool. And I like what he has to say there, because really attitude is your all-encompassing tool, especially in regards to what we're talking about today, which is earning money. And
it's everything.
Yeah.
Attitude is everything, because it doesn't matter what you're thinking of or what you're talking about. With the wrong attitude, nothing happens. Your attitude is your thought, your feeling, and your action, and they're all cooked together. It's the composite of the three. So it's the way you think, feel, and act towards earning money. You're the way you think and feel, act towards relationships, and it goes on and on and on into everything. Yeah, it's as Earl said, it's the magic word. I drove around with a battery-operated record player for many years. I was given that one for Christmas, and I love it.
That one's
the one I have is just about the same size as that.
Well, I have another quote here in regards to wealth and value. Epictetus said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." And really, isn't that what money is for? Money is not for amassing or hoarding. It's not for amassing possessions or riches or homes or cars. It's for taking care of that core that we have, that core of desire. When you want something, to be more comfortable, to have something in your life, that's what money is for. That's really what we need it for.
You see, I don't necessarily agree with what Epictetus said. I would have liked to talk to him and find out the context that he said that. Because wants, I think, are very important. I see wants coming from the essence of who we are. I think we're spiritual beings. We are a soul. We don't have one. I believe our spiritual DNA is perfect. It requires no modification, no improvement. And so right in the center of our consciousness is pure, unadulterated spirit. And spirit's always for expansion and fuller expression. It's forever expanding and expressing itself in a greater way. So as a spiritual being, it's always jabbing you in the consciousness, want this, want that. But it isn't a want so you can get. It's a want so that you can grow, want to go beyond where you're at, want to go here. See, we've been raised to be good little go-getters, not good little go-givers. And giving is really the idea, because giving is putting the energy out. It's coming in and directing it for other good. And then the universe will send it all back. So when we take a look at wants, I think we have to get it in the right context. Now, The Secret, the movie The Secret, had people, even people, most of them, with the understanding that all you have to do is want it. Kid wants the bike, the bike's there. Well, that's a bunch of jazz. That is not true. You can want something and never get it. You've got to turn the want into a desire. Wants are intellectual. They're of our conscious mind. Desire is on a subconscious level, on the subjective level of our mind. So we've got to turn the want over to the subjective mind and get emotionally involved in it, and that's how it turns into a desire. And desire is the effort of the unexpressed possibility within, seeking expression without through your action. So it's the desire that motors us, that moves us into action. There's a whole process involved here, and we've got to understand the process. Let me turn that on.
I actually just had a conversation with one of our facilitated coaches, a gentleman who's getting on board who has unbelievable potential to be a public speaker and bring this message to people across the world. And we discussed the law of attraction, and the one key that we hit on was what you discussed here today and in our previous podcast with you, that a lot of people did believe that they just had to think about it in their mind and then it would somehow appear in their life, and that the power of vibration exists on that hidden side. But there is that one aspect that seems to be missing in people's understanding of the law of attraction, and that's that once you've adopted that into your subconscious mind, that is proven through a course of massive action, and that massive action is the manifestation of that desire. When you want something so bad and envision it in your mind, that vision fuels action, and then that action in itself fuels the vision even further, and it's a perpetuating cycle.
Well, yeah, you see, as you get emotionally involved with what you want, that's when you're building the desire. You're planting the seed, because the want is a spiritual seed. It's an idea that's planted in universal intelligence, but it operates by the same pattern and the same laws as your garden grows carrots. You plant it in universal intelligence, and then universal intelligence takes over. One of the first laws is the perpetual transmutation of energy. The idea begins to move into form. And as you keep thinking about it and keep feeding that idea in your subconscious, you are moved into that vibration, because our body is a molecular structure. And the mind and the body are one. The body is the manifestation of the mind. So the body is in a high vibration. As you get really emotionally involved with it, that causes you to act. But it also sets up an attractive force, because it moves your mind and body onto a specific frequency, the frequency you have to be on to attract the good that you need for the manifestation of what you want. Like nothing's created or destroyed, so everything's already here, if not in one state, another. And you've got to get on the frequency that the good that you desire is functioning on. And if you don't get on that frequency, you're never going to attract it.
I understand that concept, and it's something that I'm working in my own life, and I'm seeing the results, and preparing myself to receive those good things, and then take those and through action transform those things into greater things. And I'm looking at a quote here right now that I think is really important. I know a lot of people in my life that while they want more money, they have certain political ideas or certain concessions where they think that, there's a lot of people who say money's evil, or a lot of people who suggest that, the powers that be with all the money, they're the ones who are stopping the world from progressing, and so on and so forth. And they have these personal beliefs about money that are preventing them from earning more and preventing them from a more abundant life. Groucho Marx put it best for me.
What they're really doing, they're justifying the fact that they haven't got any.
Yeah.
People that have no money are the ones that tell you money's not important. And that's a defense mechanism. Money's vitally important. And then you'll often hear them, you ask them, what would you like to do? Well, I would like to help all the poor people in the world. And some of them get a job working for the government, giving our money away to the people that don't want to go out and earn it.
Yep.
We've got to wake up the people that do not have the consciousness to go out and make things happen and help them. And I believe in that. And I believe in giving money for that reason. My company gives a lot of money to build schools in Africa. We build quite a few schools over there. And so we're doing that to educate children. And that's really what we need. We need to be educated.
And I think we need to be educated on a lot more than just a scholastic level. I think things like what we're discussing here, and the undercurrent of what we're discussing, the power of belief and positive thinking, and the transition from thought in the conscious mind to the subconscious mind to ignite desire and increase your vibrational level. We aren't taught those things in school, and we aren't taught that course of action to earn more money. I like what you said about little go-getters, because that's really what the school system creates is productive members of society who will fit into a job. And I like that you said little go-givers, because that's something we need to promote. And I don't see that enough, and I think that these things that we're discussing need to be taught in our schools, rather than leave somebody to find these answers, or leave somebody to find somebody like yourself or JK or myself or anybody who's adopted these beliefs and understands this material. It shouldn't just be left to find. It should be something that's taught.
Well, school should teach it, and one day it will, but first the teachers have to learn it. I think it's changing. I think the world is changing dramatically. Like, I've been around this for 50 years, so I've seen a big difference. I've worked in it for 40-some years, well, 46 years now, and I see a tremendous difference in the acceptance of this information. There's a spiritual revolution taking place in the world. People are waking up in massive numbers today. And when I started to study this way back in the early 60s, you had trouble finding self-help books and, recordings. This is where it started, on records. And this is where I started to sell it, on these little 7-inch discs. And we had some of the LPs, the long playing records. But you had to search for them. I had to go to Chicago to find them, to buy them. Today, they're everywhere. There's seminars being run everywhere. You could go to almost any hotel any night of the week, and you'll find some kind of a program where people can learn more about themselves. And that's really what it's all about. We've got to gain a better understanding of our mind and what we're capable of doing. And anyone can do better than they're doing. They just have to learn how.
I like how Groucho Marx put it is, while money can't buy happiness, it certainly lets you choose your own form of misery.
That's very good, yeah.
And that's really
True.
what we're talking about here, is that the money, it isn't some kind of mystical witchcraft there's nothing magical about it. It's really, I think you put it plain and simple with your 3 points there in what it's for in our life, and I think we've provided a few ideas that people can implement in generating more money and changing their paradigm. And what was the one thing, what was the one concept that changed your particular paradigm, and what was that? Was there a one moment, like a one Eureka moment, where you realized exactly what you needed to do?
Well, let me see where it is here. Where did I put it? I have it here somewhere. Well, the real big thing for me was when I got into the book Think and Grow Rich. And that changed my life like night and day. And he convinced me, he said, there's a secret. And if you can learn this secret, you can have anything you seriously want. Well, the secret was decide what you want. Write it on a card and understand that and your purpose in life. And your purpose has to be to serve. And if you develop a strong purpose and a meaningful goal, your whole life will change. And that's what I did. And the fact that I hadn't gone to school or that I didn't have any business experience really didn't make any difference. They were reasons why I couldn't do it. As I started to, develop a purpose that was worthwhile and develop a goal and focus on it, everything in my life started to change. So it's a simple matter of sitting down, decide what you really want, and then make up your mind that you're going to go and get it. But you've got to do things that you're not now doing. And that takes you out of the comfort zone. So don't go after what you think you can do. That's going to keep you on the level of consciousness that you're on. You've got to go after what you want to do. And want, you don't know how to do it. So you've got to reach for it. You've got to get out of the box. You got to change your paradigm. Your paradigm is nothing but a multitude of habits in your subconscious mind. It's old conditioning that goes back for generations. You got to change it.
Well, I like everything you've had to say here, Bob, and I want to thank you very much for your time. And I look forward to doing this again in the future.
Very good. Glad John is having a vacation. That's good for him. And thank you for taking over, Rick, and filling in.
This has been another episode of the Accelerated Performance Experiment. We do hope that this episode has provided you some tools that you can implement in your life for a more prosperous existence. Visit johncanary.com. Sign up for our Seeds of Excellence newsletter for tips, tools, and strategies on how to lead a healthier, happier, and wealthier life. Thanks for tuning in.